Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Listen carefully. Success doesn't begin with talent. It doesn't start with resources, luck, or even hard work. It starts with one powerful force: self-confidence. The silent strength that fuels every dream, the invisible armor that shields you from doubt, the inner voice that says, I can, when the world whispers, you can't. Self-confidence isn't arrogance, it's belief, the kind of belief that turns fear into fire, failure into fuel, and vision into victory. Without it, even the most gifted people hesitate. But with it, even the most unlikely individuals rise, because confidence isn't just a trait, it's the foundation of every great success story. There's something incredibly magical about belief. Not belief in systems, not belief in luck or destiny, but belief in yourself. The kind of belief that doesn't scream for validation, the kind that sits quietly in your chest like a fire, calm, but ready to blaze when the time is right. That belief, that's where everything begins. People often ask me, Shah Rukh, what's the secret? What made you go from a guy with nothing in his pocket to someone millions look up to? And I always smile because they expect me to say something dramatic, some technique, some plan. But here's the honest truth. I believed when there was no reason to. I believed when people laughed at me. I believed when I was scared. And I still believe, because belief is not conditional. It's not a switch you flip when things are easy. It's a decision to trust in the one person who matters most in your journey. You. Success doesn't come looking for people who wait around hoping they're good enough. It comes looking for those who are already convinced they are. Those who walk into a room not needing approval, but bringing their presence. People with self-belief don't chase opportunities. They attract them. Why? Because the world cannot help but be drawn to certainty, not arrogant noise. Not certainty, quiet, unshakable, and pure. I wasn't born confident. I was made by moments. Moments of doubt, of failure, of being broken and choosing to rise. And every time I got knocked down, I realized something. Belief is not what you show when you're winning. It's what you carry when you're losing.
Yeah.
When you're tired, when the applause is gone, that's when true belief is tested. Not when you're at your best, but when life is trying to convince you you're not enough. And let me tell you something, you will be tested. Oh, you will be mocked, underestimated, dismissed. People will point fingers, they will label you, they will laugh, not because you can't, but because they never dared to. You see, people project their limitations onto others, but if you've got belief, real belief, you don't borrow their doubts. You stay rooted, you stay stubborn. You become the kind of person who walks through fire and still smells like ambition. Do you know what the most dangerous person in the world looks like? Not the strongest, not the loudest, but the one who believes fiercely and without apology. That person becomes unstoppable. Because when you truly believe in yourself, failure doesn't destroy you, it educates you. Rejection doesn't humiliate you, it refines you. Setbacks don't slow you, they sharpen you. You become a force, not because you've got it all figured out, but because you've finally understood the truth. You are enough right now, right here, without permission, without comparison. You don't need someone hand to you a crown when you've already been carrying your own. Belief changes your voice, it changes your walk. It changes how you handle silence, how you handle chaos. It gives you gravity. And that gravity, that aura, it cannot be faked. It comes from knowing, not hoping. Knowing that you are meant for more and that you're willing to work for it, bleed for it, rise for it. No excuses, no begging, just belief. And listen, the world doesn't owe you validation. It doesn't owe you comfort. But if you can dare to believe in yourself consistently, obsessively, radically, you won't need anyone to open the door. You'll kick it down, walk through, and hold it open for the next one. That's power. I'm not standing here today because I never fail. I'm standing here because I never gave on myself. And neither should you. Let me tell you something that not many people will say out loud. The world is full of doubt. It throws it at you like daggers. Every single step you take, someone will question it. Every time you try something bold, someone will try to shrink it. They'll raise their eyebrows. They'll whisper behind your back. They'll ask, are you sure? And if you're not strong enough, if you haven't built your confidence like armor, those doubts will start sounding like truth. But confidence, real, unshakable confidence, it doesn't argue, it doesn't explain, it silences. Not with noise, but with presence. Confidence doesn't need to shout to be heard. It walks into the room and suddenly everything changes. People stand up straighter, they listen a little closer. Not because you're famous, not because you're powerful, but because they can feel that you know who you are. I've lived this. When I walked into my first audition, nobody saw a star. They saw a skinny guy from Delhi with no connections, no godfather, no roadmap. But I didn't walk in begging for approval. I walked in knowing I had something. Something raw, something real. I didn't need the world to believe in me first. I believed in myself so hard, so fiercely, that the world had no choice but to catch up. Confidence is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud. It's empty. Confidence is quiet. It's rooted. It comes from scars, from standing in front of rejection after rejection and still showing up. It comes from nights where you questioned your worth and still woke up the next day and moved forward. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the refusal to let fear have the final word. And yes, doubt will always be there. It doesn't go away. It sneaks in at 3 a.m., crawls into your mind before a big decision. It dresses itself in logic, in realism, in practicality. But don't be fooled. Doubt isn't truth. Doubt is noise, and confidence is the silence that breaks it. When you're confident, you don't need validation. You don't wait for applause. You don't measure yourself with someone else's tape. You become your own standard. You set the tone. You stop chasing people and start attracting what you deserve. Because confidence doesn't beg, it commands. Look around. The people who are winning aren't always the most talented. They're not always the most educated or the most privileged. But they walk like they belong. They speak like they're already there. They move like they've seen the finish line before the race has even begun. That's the secret. They believe they were enough before the world said yes. Confidence makes you magnetic. It's not about being fake. It's about owning your imperfections so completely that no one can use them against you. When someone points out your flaws and you respond with, I know and I'm still unstoppable, that's when you become untouchable. That's when people stop trying to break you. Because they realize nothing can shake you. And listen, there will be people who feel threatened by your confidence because it reminds them of everything they gave up on. That's not your problem. Your light is not meant to be dimmed for someone else's comfort. Don't apologize for showing up in your full power. Don't shrink to fit in. Expand to inspire. I've faced crowds who doubted me, critics who predicted my fall, voices who tried to reduce me to nothing more than a phase. But I kept walking, kept building, kept believing. Because my confidence wasn't built on applause, it was built on fire, on hunger, on a relentless refusal to let fear win. You want to succeed in this world? Learn how to quiet the noise, walk past the whispers, smile at the doubt, and carry your confidence like a crown no one gave you. Because when you wear it long enough, it becomes part of you. That's the version of you the world can't ignore. The version that doesn't need to prove, just be. And that is where your real power begins. You know what's standing between you and everything you ever dreamed of? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even the circumstances you were born into. It's fear. That silent, invisible force that sits on your shoulder and whispers, what if you're not enough? What if you fail? What if they laugh? Fear is clever. It never comes as a roar. It comes as a whisper, a hesitation, a delay, a doubt. And before you know it, you've handed over the wheel of your life to it. But let me tell you something I've learned from falling hard, from being bruised, from walking through fire. Fear fades the moment faith rises. The moment you stop looking outside for answers and start trusting that everything you need is already inside you, fear begins to lose its grip. Faith doesn't mean everything will be easy. It just means you've decided that fear will no longer be the author of your story. I've been afraid of failing, of being forgotten, of not being good enough. I've walked into rooms where no one knew name. I've stood at crossroads with no sign telling me where to go. And in those moments, fear tried to paralyze me. But then I remembered who I was, or rather who I could be. I remembered the fire inside me that no one else could see. And I chose faith. I chose to believe that even I couldn't see the entire staircase, I could take the first step. Faith is not about religion or rituals. It's about resilience. It's about choosing to believe in your worth, in your ability, in your strength, even when everything around you is falling apart. It's about walking into the storm and saying, I may not control the wind, but I will not let it break me. Fear wants you to sit down. Faith tells you to rise. Fear wants silence. Faith gives you voice. There's something absolutely unstoppable about a person who's made peace with uncertainty and decided to walk anyway. That person becomes a force. Not because they're fearless, but because they've decided that faith is stronger. Fear is heavy. It slows you down. It makes you second guess. It makes you dim your light so others won't feel uncomfortable. But faith sets you on fire. It gives you wings. It doesn't ask permission. It doesn't wait for guarantees. It leaps. I've done things that terrified me. I've taken roles that made people laugh behind my back. I've made choices that risked everything. And every time I chose faith, the universe moved. Not instantly, Not always visibly, but gradually, powerfully, undeniably, because life doesn't reward fear, it rewards faith. And don't let anyone tell you faith is weakness. Faith is not blind, faith is bold. That's the voice inside that says, I will rise even if I have to crawl at first. I will speak even if my voice shakes. I will act even if I fail. That voice becomes your strength. It becomes your compass. It becomes your truth. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never felt afraid. They're the ones who didn't let fear decide their fate. They didn't sit in the comfort zone waiting for the perfect moment. They moved. They trusted. They fell, yes, but they also flew. You want to know what's more powerful than fear? A dream backed by faith. That combination is nuclear. Because once you believe, truly believe, that what you want is not just possible but inevitable, fear starts to look small, insignificant, like background noise. When your faith is louder than your fear, everything energy changes. Your decisions change. Your life changes. But here's the part most people miss. Faith isn't a one-time decision, it's a daily choice. Some mornings you'll wake up strong, ready to conquer the world. Other days, fear will crawl back in. And in those moments, you remind yourself why you started. You anchor yourself in your vision. You look in the mirror and say, today, I choose faith again. And again, and again, because you're not here to live a life ruled by fear. You're not here to play small, to dim your fire, to blend in. You were born to stand out, to take up space, to own your journey with the kind of boldness that leaves people in awe. Faith is your armor. It's your fuel. It's your weapon. And when you carry it with conviction, fear doesn't stand a chance. So the next time fear tries to creep in, when it tells you you're not ready, not good enough, not strong enough, smile. Let it speak. Let it scream. Then let your faith walk in and shut the door. Because that's when everything begins to change. Rejection, that word, that feeling. It hits hard, doesn't it? Like a slap from the world when all you ever offered was your heart. It's the moment the door closes, the phone call doesn't come, the opportunity slips away, and you're left standing there with your dreams in your hands and nowhere to place them. I've been there. I've tasted it. Rejection has sat at my table and looked me dead in the eye. But let me tell you something nobody else will. Rejection is not the enemy. Rejection is fuel. You see, the world has this strange habit. It often says no before it even sees who you really are. It looks at your past, your appearance, your accent, your struggle, your wounds, and it judges you coldly, brutally, without mercy. And that no, it can destroy you, or it can build something unshakable inside you. Confidence is what flips rejection on its head. It's what takes that no and says not now doesn't mean never. It's what turns pain into power, wounds into weapons, silence into a roar. Confidence doesn't crumble in front of rejection. It gets louder, bold, hungrier. I remember standing in long queues out studios, ignored, unseen, forgotten. I was told, you're not the hero type. You don't fit. You're too intense. And every word was a dagger. But I didn't bleed. I built a fire so hot inside my chest that rejection couldn't burn me anymore. It only made me stronger. Every closed door made me knock louder. Every turn back made me walk taller. Because I knew, deep down, I had something the world hadn't seen yet. And I wasn't going to let someone else's blindness define my vision. Rejection will try to convince you that you're not worthy. But confidence whispers something else. They just couldn't see the gold yet. And so you keep going. Because confidence doesn't need validation. It creates it. Confidence doesn't seek acceptance. It earns respect by refusing to bow. Here's the raw true thing. People will always doubt what they don't understand. They will reject what threatens their comfort. They will say no to greatness because demands that they rise to. And not everyone is ready for that. So when they reject you, don't shrink. Don't retreat. Don't question your worth. Instead, ask yourself, what can I build from this? Because confidence doesn't wait for a green light. It finds another road or builds one from scratch. Every person you admire today, every success story, every icon, every legend, they were rejected repeatedly, brutally. And what made them different wasn't luck. It was confidence. The kind that doesn't flinch. The kind that says, I'll show you. Not to hurt you, but to remind you that you can't stop someone who refuses to quit. Rejection doesn't have to be the end. It can be the beginning of your evolution. Your comeback, your rise. But only if you meet it with belief, with fire, with an unshakable conviction that says, I was made for more. They'll say, you're too much. Be more. They'll say, you don't belong. Walk in anyway. They'll say, you won't make it. Smile. Because nothing is more powerful than the person who has been rejected 1,000 times and still keeps showing up like it's the first. Confidence makes rejection irrelevant. Because when you know who you are, rejection loses its power. It becomes noise, background static in a life symphony that's destined for greatness. Rejection doesn't define you. Your response to it does. Will you cry? Will you collapse? Or will you rise? Will you take every no and turn it into a ladder? Will you stare back at the world with a smirk that says, thank you. You just made me stronger. Let them doubt. Let them walk away. Let them turn their backs. Because every time they do, your confidence should stand taller. Every no is just a setup for your louder, hi yes. And when that yes comes, when the lights finally shine on you, when the stage is yours, when the world finally sees what you always knew, it will be glorious. Not just because you made it, but because of everything you had to conquer to get there. So never beg to be chosen. Never plead to be seen. Make yourself so undeniable that even rejection begins to feel foolish, forever standing in your way. Show up so consistently, so powerfully, so unapologetically, that even silence becomes your applause. They'll tell you, be realistic, you be relentless. They'll say, it's not your time. You decide what time it is. They'll say, you don't have what it takes. You look them dead in the eyes and say, watch me. Because when your confidence is stronger than your fear of rejection, there's not a force in this world that can stop your rise. You want opportunities. You want doors to open. You want the world to finally recognize your worth. Then listen to me carefully. Because this isn't about luck. This isn't about someone handing you a golden ticket. This is about something far more powerful. Confidence. That electric, undeniable energy that walks into a room before you even say a word. That aura that makes people stop, look, and remember. Confidence doesn't knock on opportunity's door. It makes opportunity come chasing. When you walk like you belong, even when you feel like you don't, the world takes notice. That's the trick most people don't understand. Confidence isn't about being loud. It's not arrogance. It's quiet power. It's controlled fire. It's that unspoken declaration. I know who I am, and I don't need your permission to be great. You think opportunities just fall from the sky. They don't. They are drawn to presence, to boldness, to certainty. When you own your space, when you speak with clarity, stand with strength, and move with purpose, opportunities start revealing themselves. People start aligning with your energy. Rooms open that were previously locked. Conversations shift. Suddenly, you're not chasing, you're attracting. I've seen it firsthand. I've walked into auditions where I wasn't the most handsome. I wasn't the most connected. I didn't have a big name. But I walked in with confidence, not because I was sure they would say yes, but because I was sure I wouldn't collapse if they said no. I trusted my fire. I trusted my path. And that trust created a magnetic pull. Confidence is magnetic. It tells the world, I'm not here to beg. I'm here to build. It doesn't wait for applause. It performs anyway. That's what makes opportunity impossible to resist. People are drawn to certainty. To people who believe in themselves so strongly, it becomes contagious. And here's the real beauty. Confidence doesn't just attract opportunity, it multiplies it. One moment of boldness can open 10 new paths. One decision to walk into a room like you own it, even when your legs are shaking, can be the moment everything changes. Confidence opens a gate inside you first, and once that gate opens, the world starts aligning. It's not about pretending to be fearless. It's about moving forward even when you are terrified. Confidence is forged in motion. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you build it. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice trembles, you sharpen it. Every time you rise again, when it would have been easier to give up, you solidify it. Confidence isn't something you find. It's something you create. From rejection, from failure, from doubt, from daring to dream out loud. And once it's alive in you, the world has no choice but to respond. You walk into that interview room, that meeting, that stage, that battlefield, shoulders back, heart open, eyes steady. Not because everything is perfect, but because you know you can handle imperfection. That's confidence. And that's irresistible. You want opportunity to find you. Then stop hiding. Stop dimming your light so others feel comfortable. Stop waiting to be ready. Ready is a lie. Confidence doesn't come from perfection. It comes from showing up again and again until the world can't ignore you anymore. I've been underestimated. I've been told I wasn't enough. And I didn't argue. I didn't waste time proving them wrong. I proved myself right. I believed in my own madness, my own passion, my own impossible dreams. And that belief created waves. Those waves brought opportunities I couldn't even imagine. People will feel your energy before they hear your words. And if your energy says, I know who I am and I'm not afraid to claim what's mine, then life begins to shift. The right people show up. The right moments appear. Doors open. Not because of fate, but because of your force. Confidence is the most attractive currency in this world. It's the difference between being overlooked and being unforgettable. It's the difference between watching life pass by and becoming the one everyone watches. And the best part, it's entirely yours to develop. No one can give it to you, and no one can take it away unless you hand it to them. Don't wait for the world to choose you. Choose yourself over and over. Get up, speak up, step forward. Even when your hands are trembling, especially then, that's when the universe listens. I've seen shy people become stars. I've seen the underestimated become unstoppable. Not because they suddenly became perfect, but because they decided to stop hiding. They stepped into their truth. They showed the world what happens when confidence becomes louder than fear. So walk into every room like you are the opportunity. Because the truth is, you're not just waiting for life to give you something. You are something life is waiting for. You don't need permission to rise. Just decision. Decide to believe in yourself with such intensity that it feels reckless. Decide to move as if everything you want is already yours. Decide to own your journey unapologetically, and when you do, opportunity won't just knock, it will break down your door. You know what separates the followers from the leaders? It's not talent. It's not background, luck, or connections. It's confidence. Raw, relentless, unshakable confidence. That force inside you that refuses to wait for someone else to take the lead. That voice in your soul that whispers, even in chaos, you were born to lead, not follow. People think leadership is about control, about power. No. True leadership is about influence. It's about energy. It's about standing up in a room full of fear and becoming the calm. It's about walking into uncertainty and becoming the direction. Confidence gives you that edge, that weight in your voice, that power in your presence, that strength in your silence. I've stood in front of millions, but I wasn't always heard. I wasn't always known. I had to command that respect, not demand it. I had to build my confidence one setback at a time, one failure at a time, one heartbreak at a time. And every time the world tried to mute me, I got louder. Not with noise, but with action, with clarity, with the fire of someone who refuses to be invisible. You don't become a leader by title. You become one the moment you stop shrinking, the moment you stop waiting for permission, the moment you decide your story matters and your voice is necessary. Confidence is the beginning of all leadership, because without belief in yourself, how will anyone else believe in you? People follow strength, not perfection. They follow courage, not certainty. And they follow confidence, not arrogance, not ego, but that quiet assurance that says, I may not have all the answers, but I will not back down. That's the kind of presence that changes rooms, that moves hearts, that shifts cultures, that builds empires. Leadership begins in the way you carry yourself when no one is watching. It begins in the thoughts you choose, the standards you uphold, the moments when you rise above what's easy and walk into what's necessary. That's the foundation. And confidence, it is the cement. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs more presence. And nothing radiates presence like a person who believes deeply in their own ability to rise, to carry others, to withstand storms without crumbling. That's leadership, not perfection. Resilience, not noise, conviction. You can lead from the front or lead in the background, but lead you must. In your family, your team, your community, your industry, step into that space. Not because you're the loudest, but because you have the calmest fire. Confidence gives you that fire. It gives you the kind of stillness that doesn't flinch in the face of failure. It gives you the kind of poise that silences chaos. I've led sets, films, stages, but more importantly, I've led myself through loss, through rejection, through pressure. And that is what makes all the difference. Because a real leader doesn't point the way. They walk it first. And only someone with true confidence can walk through darkness before lighting the path for others. People are drawn to authenticity, to truth, to that rare kind of leadership that doesn't shout but listens, that doesn't dominate but empowers. And confidence makes that possible. Because when you know your worth, you don't need to prove it. When you trust your direction, you don't need to control. When you lead from a place of purpose, people follow willingly. The greatest leaders in this world were once doubted, ridiculed, ignored. What made them rise was not perfection. It was an unwavering belief in their mission. And that belief began with confidence. Confidence to speak up, confidence to stand alone, confidence to take risks while others played safe, confidence to break the rules, rewrite the script, and set the world on fire. You want to lead, then become someone who embodies what they preach. Walk your talk. Let your life become your loudest speech. Confidence is what makes your leadership undeniable, because people don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. And when you walk with purpose and belief, people feel safe, seen, inspired. Don't wait for the world to appoint you a leader. Appoint yourself. Choose to be the standard. Choose to be the example. Choose to rise even when it's uncomfortable. Especially then, that's when your leadership becomes legendary. I've been broken, tested, misunderstood. But I never stopped showing up. And in those moments, I realized confidence is not about never falling. It's about never staying down. That's what inspires people. That's what earns trust. That's what makes you a leader. Someone who stands even when it would be easier to disappear. So walk into rooms like you own your space, not because you're above anyone, but because you've earned your place. Speak like your words matter, because they do. Carry yourself like someone who's seen darkness and still chose to shine. That's the kind of leader the world can't resist. That's the kind of leader the future needs. Let others follow trends. You build legacies. Let others chase fame. You chase impact. Let others seek applause. You seek meaning. And let your confidence be the storm that breaks barriers and the calm that rebuilds what matters. Because when you lead with confidence, you don't just change your story, you give others the courage to change theirs.